Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and another video here. I literally just filmed this whole video and then I got up to turn my camera off and I realized I had never hit record in the first place. So let's try this again. Take two. I've seen a lot of videos like this in the makeup community where it's like if I had to restart my whole collection because it got like lost or stolen or whatever, how would I go about redoing that? And I have a few thoughts on that matter. I mean, I'm not unhappy with where my collection is at or how I've made it to this point in my collection. But I think that when you've been in a hobby for so long, you start to realize a lot of like the rookie mistakes or just things that you wished you had done differently. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from with this. So the first thing I would do if I had to restart my whole collection because it was like, God forbid, stolen or something like that, is I would focus on indies over mainstream polishes because I just feel like, you can get mainstreams all the time, whenever, wherever. I feel like indies are more likely to be discontinued and things like that. And I just feel like when I first started getting into nail polish when I was in college, indies were out of my price range typically and out of my comfort zone because I was afraid to buy something that I couldn't touch or see or hold in my, in my hand before I purchased it. And so I was always really hesitant to buy from indie brands. Now I know way better, that indies are typically like higher quality, they are worth the money for the most part, and I would just put more of my money into the quality of the polish over the quantity of colors that I was really focused on when I first got into nails. The second thing I would probably do a little bit differently is instead of the swatch sticks, which I think are a little bit out of frame, so I'll pop up a picture here, but instead of painting everything on single swatch sticks, which was very manageable when I had just a couple hundred polishes, I would probably change the way I swatch things because, like I said, with 100 or so polishes, even up to a couple hundred, it was a lot more manageable. When I had to add in new swatch sticks, it was not a big deal to move a lot of these sticks around. But now that I have over 1,000, it's a whole process. I used to add swatch sticks into my swatch rings as soon as, here, let me show you. So if you can see here, I used to add, this isn't even all my purples, this is half my purples. I used to add swatch sticks in to the rings pretty much the next day after I got a polish, once the swatch stick was dry. And each one of these rings, little rings, holds 15 sticks. And so we've got 90 swatches on this about. And now, they're in somewhat of a color order. They're in somewhat of like a rainbow order. So if I have to put one swatch in the middle of this, then I have to shift everything over. And that takes a lot when you have this many. And this is the first section of purple. So I would have to push everything over on this wheel and then everything over on the next set of rings because that's just how I am. So if I had known that my collection was going to get this big, I probably wouldn't have done this style of swatches. I've seen some people do like these like little rings that have a nail sticking up that you can paint, and then it sits like, it'll sit like right on the cap and the nail faces out and you can see the way the color looks when it is swatched. I think that those are clever, but I think for me, that isn't really what I'm looking for because I like when they're all in like one central area that I can look at everything all at once, because the way that I sort my polish isn't by color, it's by brand first and then color. And I don't want to see all just my purple OPIs. I want to see all my purples together so I can make my decision. So that, even though I think it's cool, like it's great and it works for a lot of people, it's just not for me. But I did see on Amazon, they have these little folio books that have nails that you can pop in and out and paint those and put them in. And I think it would be nice to just have like a book that you can flip through. And it seems like it's fairly easy to shift stuff around. So those I was kind of looking into. I'm not sure how that would work for me because there's really, like, the thing about the swatch sticks is I can put a label on the stick, but with the books, they're pretty compact, so I don't know how I would label the polishes in that way. So really, I think I'm just going to stick with the sticks. I do like the way that they look up on my wall. I think it's a really cool addition to my room. I do think that it's fun in that, like, rainbow order, but it does get a little bit difficult the more you have. And like I said, I used to put the sticks in as soon as I got them. Now I just wait till I do it once a month because I don't want to have to take them all off the wall, shift them over, 6 times a month. That's such a pain. So I do it once a month and then I'm done. And it takes me an hour or more depending on what colors I got and that sort of a thing. The next thing I would do if I lost my whole collection is I would invest in a really good base and a really good top coat right from the start. When I first got into nails, I bought like the cheapest base and top coats I could find because I didn't think that those mattered. I didn't care about those. All I cared about was the colors. And so then I didn't understand why I would paint my nails and then 4 hours later I'd go to bed and I'd wake up and there would be like blanket and sheet imprints in my nail polish. I'm like, I painted them 4 hours before bed. Why weren't they dry? And I was about ready to just give up. It was so frustrating. But then I ended up, somebody online mentioned sèche-vite and like fast drying top coats. And I was like, that's a thing? And so that got me sucked into like the world of top coats and, along with that base coats. And so I think that I wish I could go back in time and just hand my younger self, like, here's a quick dry top coat. You'll thank me later. Because honestly, I don't think I would still be in nails into like this hobby if it weren't for the quick dry top coat, because it's just so frustrating when you spend a lot of time doing something cool on your nails or just even a normal manicure and you've taken the time to clean it up and make it look nice and you top coat it and then it gets ruined. Like, it's just so frustrating when that's every single time. I can understand why you'd want to give up. I almost did. So definitely the first thing I would do is buy a really nice base, which for me is the Orly Bonder base right now. And then a really nice top coat, which for me, thanks to you guys, is the Glisten and Glow top coat because that one, so good. Next, I would be way more conscientious of dupe colors in my collection if I had to restart. When I first started buying stuff, it was really without any consideration of if I had the color already or not. And to be quite honest, I'm still that way. I wish I could be more like my friend who every time we're like looking at nail polish or like talking about nail polish together, she'll be like, oh yeah, that's a really pretty color, but I gotta check my collection to make sure I don't have anything that's similar. And I'm like, oh man, I would have already had it in my cart by this point. So she's just like a way more smarter about it in that way than I am. I'm just like, throw it all in there, I'll take it. And so I would be a lot more conscientious of that because when I look at some of my swatch sticks, like, I can go through them and I just see like tons of overlap of just certain tones of certain colors. And it's kind of funny because that just, you can tell like what you really like, the colors that you are really truly your favorite or what you're drawn to. And it's just so funny to me that I find a color that I love and then I just seem to buy it in every single brand that has it. I don't know why. I justify it by saying like, oh, I just want to compare the formulas. No, I just want it. I just want that color. I just want to buy nail polish. And then the last thing, and I think probably the most important thing that I would do if I had to restart my collection, is I would try to wear each polish before I bought more. Because right now I have a ton of untrieds, like more untrieds than I even feel comfortable acknowledging. Because part of it is when I really got into polish, I was wearing everything at least once. Everything in my collection, save for a few, was probably worn at least once or twice, right up until like quarantine times. And then I bought somebody's collection and I effectively doubled my collection size, which gave me 300 or 400 untrieds right there. And then because I started YouTube, I started buying a little bit more for like swatch and reviews. Nothing like crazy that I wouldn't have really probably already purchased, but it just, I don't know, it adds up so fast. And so now I do have quite a lot of untrieds. And to me, an untried is not like, because I've swatched everything and I've taken swatch photos of a lot of them, but a swatch photo is literally, I paint 4 fingers and I take the picture and then I take it off and I do the next one. So I don't count those as worn polishes on my spreadsheet, because to me, a full manicure is truly what is a worn polish. And so, yeah, some of them I have technically had on my nails, but I don't count them as worn because I haven't like really worn them long term. So I'm hoping to like maybe, I don't know, up the frequency that I paint my nails. And I try to paint my toes a little bit more frequently too, so that I at least get a little bit of use out of some of those polishes. But if I had to restart my collection, I think I would give a little bit more time and attention to each polish than I have been giving recently. And I know that sounds crazy because it's like, it's just nail polish. It's an inanimate object. It's not like it's an animal or a child. But, you know, to me, it's important. I don't want this stuff to just sit and be unused, and because that feels a little bit wasteful. But then I tell myself, like, you know, it's not just wearing the polish that brings me joy. I've told you guys before, I like to sort it and look at it and all that kind of stuff. So it's not the end of the world that I have so many untrieds. I just wish that I didn't, which is why I kind of want to start having like polish parties, I guess you could say. Just have like a bunch of people over and let everybody use my collection and we can all paint our nails together and just have a good time. But until then, I guess they're just gonna hang out in my drawers for a little while longer. But anyways, that is it from me. Let me know down below if you guys lost your whole collection. How would you restart it? What is the very first thing you guys would do to restart your collection? Or would you restart it at all? I know some people, like, they've lost full like collections and hobbies and things like that, and they're just like, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. So let me know down below what your thoughts are, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.